Welcome to the sustainability series, where men didn't just get back in charge, they stayed in charge. Now, for most transformations, they don't last. Between 80 and 95% of people regain their weight within the 2 years. But there are men that have defied the odds. Now, not in being in perfect environments, not going off in specific health retreats or anything like that. These are men in the real world with real jobs and real lives, and also the pressure and responsibilities that go with it. Today, I am joined by Colin, and he completed the Back in Charge Blueprint initial first 12-week program 16 weeks ago. Now, this conversation isn't about what happened during the program. It's going to be about where he was at before, but also fundamentally where he is after and how he handled work, life, setbacks, and everything in between, and how he has still been able to stay in charge of his health, his energy, and his life. So let's get into it. Colin, it's been great to have you on here. It's been, like we're saying, it's been a while since we first, since we last seen each other.
Yeah.
So, Colin, like, if you could just introduce yourself, like, who are you, where are you from, and what do you do?
My name's Colin Gebbie. I'm a 56-year-old director of a small construction business in the north of England. As most people in construction, we work long hours and for very little rewards, really. But I enjoy it, and I love what I do. So I've got a daughter and a wife who are quite demanding. And when we first met, I was at a point where I needed to do something with my life.
That's it. You know, and like we were saying just before we jumped on, it's like the stresses in like the family life is still there, like with the horses and all of that.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Yeah. But and we'll come on to that. We'll come on to that. But this is the thing as well. It's like you just said there, you were in a place where something had to change. So Colin, like remember back, all those months ago, like what was happening in your life when you realised that like your health was slipping out of your hands?
Well, when I first got contacted by Kerry, I was well overweight. I was, for my height, my friends were starting to call me an Oompa Loompa because I just looked round. I was stressed. I still have stresses, to be honest. But at the time, I was not managing them very well. I wasn't doing any exercise whatsoever, and my life consisted of sitting in the front of the telly on an evening after I'd finished work with my daughter with a great big bar of chocolate, and I'm talking one like that, and we used to eat the bar of chocolate, and that was comfort. And it was only just at the time, just before we got in contact with each other, my wife booked a holiday with friends. And one of them's slightly ripped. He's older than me, and I just thought I can't even take my t-shirt off near him. I'm just that embarrassed, and I thought I needed to do something. And it was then we got in contact, and it was. I decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something with my life. Now, at the time before we met, I was on statins. I was on Ramapril for blood pressure. So paint the picture, I was not in good health. I wasn't looking after myself. I was on the road to a massive decline. My sister was worried about me for diabetes. My doctor was worried about me for heart attacks and strokes. The normal, really. That was where I was.
That's it, right? And that's the thing, like with what you do, with work and the stresses, because you were coming out of a huge stress, weren't you? The stress was massive on your shoulders.
Yeah.
With what happened. And then you've got the health implications, like, the high cholesterol, the stress, the potentially the pre-diabetes. Your doctor's worried about, you potentially having a stroke or something like that. And then the way that you were dealing with it was coming home and having a big bar of chocolate.
Yeah, basically. That was
And
my
that,
time with my daughter, and it was a case of it wasn't good for her, it wasn't good for me,
no,
and
no,
we were in a rut, um, and that
that,
was exactly the position I was at. Yeah, the stresses that, like as you mentioned, the stresses I had in business, not going to it, but my business partners left me in a bad state. It was worse than we thought, and I was spending every night, early hours in the morning in the office, just going through things, and I was going to do myself harm, if I'm honest. I was going to harm my health if I didn't do something about it.
yeah,
So,
that's it. But the thing is as well, though, it's like, you know that it was potentially doing you harm,
yeah,
by having the chocolate, that, right?
yeah.
But again, like, there's no shame in it. We're not here to shame. Like, we're not here to shame. You know me. I'm not
No,
here to shame you.
no, no, absolutely not.
But this is the thing, right? The key that you said there was you was in a rut,
I was, yeah.
and you just end up in this cycle. So how long would you say that you was in this rut for?
It'd been on a steady decline for a number of years, if I'm honest. Um, I was making excuses for not exercising through injuries or one thing or another, but then coming up with another excuse. The hours I was doing wasn't conducive to doing exercise anyway. I was getting up at silly o'clocks to drive down to Swansea, to drive up to Glasgow, to drive to Perth, and then driving back in the day and getting back late. But I could still put myself out and do something if I wanted, but I made excuses why not to, it just got worse. And the more the excuses, the deeper the rut, and it just was a never-ending spiral. It was just one of those. I needed a kick to get out of it. I needed help to get out of it.
Yeah, you needed that circuit break, didn't you? You needed that intervention
Absolutely.
to do it, right? But again, though, the thing is that you were saying it was over accumulation of a few years.
Yeah.
So the rut that you found yourself in didn't happen overnight.
Oh,
It was accumulation of the build up over a few years, which again is like a lot of guys find themselves in, don't they? Because they're just right, they're just working, right? They've got to provide.
yeah.
They're providing, and then it's like one day you're like, oh, excuse my French, it's like, oh shit, like,
Yeah. Well, you know,
where am I?
it's wake up and recognise it, and but as soon as you recognise it, you're on the road to recovery. If you do something about it, recognising it's the hardest thing.
Yeah, that's it.
I think I showed you a picture that my wife took and never showed me it, and she took a picture of me sat on the
She
settee
sat down, innit?
with my cup of tea on my
Yeah,
belly,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it
That's
was
good.
resting on my belly. And she took it as a joke and kept it and never said anything until I started this process. And then she gave it to me and said, "Look at that." And yeah, I've still got that picture. Yeah,
Nice. Well, good. Keep it.
yeah,
That's it. So, like, what had you tried? Like, had you tried anything previously to the Back in Charge Blueprint to make changes to your health and wellness?
yes. I tried fasting diets, and they didn't work for me. They do work for some people, and I get that. I do get it, and it's something for everybody. But the fasting diets I went on was 19-hour fasting, and then light food, and it did nothing. I was on it for a month and didn't lose an ounce, and all I was weak, tired, and it just didn't help at all.
Sorry, when you say light food, what do you mean by light
So
food?
I was doing meats, but on light meats. I was doing tuck crackers, cottage cheese, things like that when I was eating.
Oh, so you mean like low fat? Like, is
Low
that is
fat
that
stuff,
sort of what you mean?
low fat, and I was trying that, and then having a balanced meal before. But I was eating too late. 19 hours fasting, and then you're eating too late, and then you go to sleep, and it's on your stomach. But I was having veg meat, but it just wasn't helping me. It just didn't do anything. I never lost an ounce, like I said. So after a month, I just said, "This I can't go on like this. No strength whatsoever." So I packed that one in, and I tried some other diets. And my wife tried cooking food that was healthy food for us and doing things like that, but it still wasn't doing it. I hadn't bought into it at that point. I wasn't of a mindset to actually say yes, I need to do something about it. I was playing at it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, dabbling.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. And a lot of guys do, they, especially like this coming up to like January, they just start dabbling, like
yeah.
we spoke to, I don't know if you listened or joined into the one I did yesterday with
I
Rob.
was
No, but he would do the same. Every January he would start a diet.
yeah,
And then he would follow the diet for like 3 months until March when it was his birthday. And he'd lose the weight, and then he'll then give up, and then he'll just dabble with it, and then he'll then give up until January next year.
yeah,
But then every year he was gaining weight,
yeah.
right? And he was just dabbling with it. He never committed to it properly.
That's the word, commitment.
So when was the actual moment? Like, what was the moment for you that you realized that you had to make a change?
I think after I knew I needed to do something soon as my wife had booked the holiday. What I was going to do, I hadn't really worked the finer detail out. And after our first call, I just thought, right, okay, in for a penny, in for a pound here. Well, let's do this. Let's just do it. And even to this day, my wife I still don't have potatoes, which, like you said, you don't need to cut them out. But I
I
have.
like potatoes. I had potatoes today.
I just don't do bread. Don't do potatoes. I still do some bad stuff, some pastas and things like that, and cheeses which aren't good. But they're my sins and what have you. But I just thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, let's do this. And I remember the first time we spoke about water intake. And I've got my water bottle here. So, yeah.
There we go.
The water intake, and you said, right, you need to do. And I think it was you worked out the weight and said, right, it's 5 litres you need to drink. It was like, why am I going to do that? And I just persevered, and I thought, well, I've got to try it. And I worked it up over a week and got to 5 litres, and I was doing it. And it was like, okay, this is normal now. And it just became. It was a comment you said as well about you've got to form new habits. You're into habits now, and you've got to form new habits, and they will become normal after a period of time. And I just kept thinking, well, they'll be normal. But I knew as soon as we spoke that, right, okay, I've got to give this a go. This is the one for me. I don't need to do the rest of the stuff. This is it.
Nice.
It just sounded right.
That's it. Good. So with it sounding right, and you jumping in and committing to the Back in Charge blueprint, what was your experience like of the blueprint?
It was good, to be honest. At the time, it was hit and miss with people being able to get on the calls. There was guys on shifts and all sorts. But when they were on the calls, you were listening, and you could relate to them all. The guy down in Wales, absolutely. I still remember the conversation about his McDonald's because he was late for a meeting, and you could relate. You think, yeah, I've done that. I've drove there, and I've gone into Greg's and got this, that, and the other, and one sandwich wasn't enough, and you could relate to it all. Everything you could do, it was normal people that you could relate to. And everybody on it was a normal person that was in that rut, and at different degrees of the rut. But it was relatable. It was just listening to their stories, and not once. And I've been on these things before and training programs, and the people in charge will criticise, and they will have a go. Not once did you criticise. And I remember talking to you about that, saying you never criticised. You never said why you shouldn't have done. Why did he do that? You just asked questions, and they got the answers out of them, and it was brilliant. And take me out off to you. You never ever made an opinion of anybody. You literally, you knew where people were going wrong, but you helped them find the answer themselves. and you could relate. It was relatable. It was good. So the early days, I was struggling with what do I need to do? Which exercises do I need to do? But when you get into it, it's great. The cold showers, you're a sadist. But yeah,
But you can see the benefit, though, right? You can see the benefit,
I've got a
right?
deep pool now. I've got one of them plunge pools.
No, but look at that.
So yeah,
Look at that.
so I've got one of them. But it's you to say this. I've got to say. So yeah, things like that. And I didn't realise that until about week 3 that I was supposed to be. And it was when it came out on the call, it was like, no, that can't be right. It can't be right. Somebody's having a joke. And so, but it was all real. Everybody was normal. It was.
Yeah.
There was
It's normal guys, right? It's normal guys. Normal
They're all
guys
nice
with
guys.
normal lives. You know, all going through, excuse my French, shit.
Yeah,
you know, and it's you know, everyone's got problems. It's just like, well, how can we help each other to get through it? You know, and the camaraderie, right? You know, it's like when you came over to Cyprus on the retreat with Andy, you know, and that, you know, right? You know, just again, you know, like you're a managing director of a construction company, right? You know, Andy is, you know, he's a MD of a financial planning and wealth company. Yeah. You know, 2 completely different industries.
Ends of the spectrum. You wouldn't put us in the same room.
No, like, but what a blast we had, right?
It was great.
It's just and that's the thing, right? Just bringing it together.
Yeah. But the meal down in London that you organised, that was great, meeting guys who were doing exactly this, and it was just brilliant. And listening to the story, Raj and people like that, it was just yeah,
legend. Raj is an absolute legend.
He is an absolute legend. Yeah, but again, you wouldn't have put us in the same room ever.
It's crazy.
He was just relatable. He was a nice guy. Everything about it works, and yeah,
that's it.
You set your own goals, and it was one of those. And you when you're talking to people on a call, on a Teams call, once or twice a week, and saying I've achieved this, and everybody's saying well done, great, well done, or never mind, next week just try this. It was all support. It was a support network.
Yeah, that's it. Good. So how would you, if you had to describe like the biggest internal shift that you made, what would it be? Not on the actual actions, but on the internally.
I plan now more what I'm doing. I plan more and set myself goals, which I didn't do before. I had them in the back of my head, but when we sat down and did the sessions, and we added it all, and I said to you for day one, if you'd have told me all this that I was going to come out with, and we were going to talk about mental health and goals and all, I would have said no, I ain't bothered. It's not for me. It's not my thing. But when you added it all together over the weeks and then put the bits together and then said, that's what it means. So it's in your head and it's this and you need to do that and it's all mental, or you've got to set goals. And if you do that, you will achieve. And it was all about that. When we got into that and you got a light bulb moment, it was one of those, bang, oh, yeah. And I now do goals. I've got the program that we did together, sat in the cafe in Cyprus. I've got that. I'm now setting my goals for going forward on everything else. I'm setting team goals and requirements. Some are achieving. We've got rid of a few guys, but some are achieving, and we're going through that process. But it's all about setting goals now, and that was never in my mind when coming on to lose weight. Right. I never ever thought about that. It all came back to the work related to private life, linked to finance, family, and it all just interlinked, and I never ever gave it a second thought. I spend more time now making sure my daughter's all right, covering for my wife and things like that at home. So we do more of that now than I've ever done. Before it was a case of they're on horses, I ain't bothered, crack on. I now actually think about it and try to spend time with them.
That's it. That's it. And again, it's because, everything goes in, everything's an ecosystem,
Yeah,
and it's also about osmosis as well. So it's like, everything's an ecosystem. So you've got you've got your own health, we've got, your business, your finances, your work, you've got your family, everything, and then you've got yourself, like your own confidence, your own faith and all of that. So everything has to balance, right?
it does. Yeah, it does.
And it's great that you can identify that now and you can see that.
Can now. I didn't then. I was blinkered, if I'm honest. Didn't think I was, but I definitely was.
It's okay, right? Again, you don't know what you don't know,
You did great. True.
right? But now you do know it, and you embraced it, and now we're in the, we're now, X amount of months on from the program.
Yeah, we are.
Now, so what does staying in charge look like for you, like now in your everyday life?
It's a healthier way of living. I've not stuck religiously to everything I did for that 12 weeks. I enjoy my life. We have a drink every night. We have a drink. We go out with family. We have the out meals that I didn't do when before. But I'm a healthier person than I was now. During the process, I came off the statins. I came off the Ramapril. Got it all approved by the doctor after I'd done it before he'd approved it, but I did get it approved. And he tested me and said, and I remember telling you that he tested me and said he was shocked. He thought I was on them for life. My life now is I'm not on them, and I still go for my annuals and all that. But I'm a healthier person than I was. But I still enjoy life, and that to me is what it's all about. But I'm spending more time with the family now than I've ever done, and yeah,
Amazing, right? Amazing. So your health has improved. You've come off the medication.
yeah,
Your doctor thought you was going to be on the medication for life,
alive, yeah,
and now your family life is great as well. Not that it wasn't bad anyway, but it's like even better. It's even better though, right?
Yeah, it's better now. I spend more time. I make sure I set more time aside for them. Yeah. I'm still busy. I still work silly hours. I'm still in the office at 5:30 every morning. I still drive up and down to Scotland and down to London in a day and do all that. I still work weekends, but I make sure I have time for them as well.
But that's the thing. You've got the energy now to be able to do it all.
I have, yeah. I have. That's which great. I didn't have before, and I'm spending more time. One of my goals was to have more social life. I now take a few hours out through a working day and go play paddle. So, which I would never dream of taking any time out of a working day. So, and I do it, and I don't feel guilty about it. The guys get looked after that work for me. The fact that I go off and do that, it's got me a couple of jobs as well. So it's the old adage was go on a golf course and win a few jobs. I go and play paddle and I've got a couple of jobs out of it. So yeah.
Perfect. But it's really random. Like me and Kels were just talking about that because where we live, they got paddle, and I was like, I just said to her earlier, I was like, I'm going to go play paddle.
You need to do it. It's addictive.
So yeah, cool. So what challenges? Right, we knew about the challenges before you started the Back in Charge Blueprint. So what challenges have come up since finishing, our partnership together, and how did you handle them differently this time?
I thought them through more. Before, I'm a reactive person, and I always make the decisions snap. And it's a decision made, but I now think a bit more about it. I do plan more. I am looking at my goals more. So I am considering it. I am talking to my team more now. Before we started setting goals together in the program, my management meetings were ring a guy up and say, "What you done this today?" And that was my management meeting. I now sit down once a week with the team I make sure they've got their sandwiches there, and they get bacon, eggs, sausage, and all the rest of it. I don't, and I'll have a bit of bacon medallion while they're eating all that. But I make sure they've got all that. We sit down, we go through everything and planning everything meticulously now. So I'm actually considering how I'm expressing myself to them, which wasn't working before. Clearly wasn't. I'm not saying it works perfectly now, because it doesn't, but the live projects and everything changes, but it works better. And we sit down and we go through it, and I make sure we set goals and reasonable goals and targets and monitor them the week after to make sure it's happened. I'm looking at that all the time now. I've set a office manager on, which we had the conversation. I kept saying I'm not at that stage, and you kept saying you need to, because so right, okay, let me consider it, and I did it, and it were breaking me. Just that one wage was like, oh, I didn't need this, but it was the best thing I ever did, absolutely. And without the program and your support, I'd have dilly-dallied over that without a doubt. I'd have procrastinated over the decision. And I'd have done it in the end, but it'd have taken me months later. Bringing her in at that time was a godsend, an absolute godsend. She's taken so much off me, and she keeps taking more off me. She liaises now with the accounts team, and she sorts that out. And I couldn't tell you what I'm paying the lads on a weekly wage now. Before, I knew exactly what it was. I was making sure I was doing the payments. I know I've got to pay them, and I know what they're earning, but I don't see the payments at all. They're all sorted out. The timesheets are sorted by one of the contracts managers, who goes to the office manager, sorts it all out. If there's any queries, it comes to me, I sort it, and then the queries go back, and I never see it again. It's just done. And that's how business should be. There's people that should be doing things for you, and that was people are now starting to take things off my plate, which is what it should have been before, instead of me doing everything. It was the program that made me look at it and restructure that.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. I was going to say, Colin, we're supposed to be talking about a health program here, right? But we're talking about business, right?
It's all linked. Which I didn't. If you'd told me from day one, like I said, I would have never joined it. But it's all linked. When you actually get into it and look at it all, everything's linked.
Exactly right.
If you're stressed with finance, you're stressed. It's going to affect your health. If your business is going well, your family life is going well, and your fitness is going well, you're going to be happy anyway. So it's all linked. Everything's linked. Which, again, like I said, it's just understanding that it's linked and looking at it like that.
So what's the wins though? Let's have a look at the wins for the business, right? So since we worked together and you came into the program, has the business grown?
The business has grown. When I first got into the program, my business was turning 2.4, 2.5 million. We turned over in the last financial year. And unbeknownst to me, I thought we'd hit about 2.6, 2.7. And then we did the accounts in August, and it was 3.3 million.
So from 2.4 million, 2.4 to 3.3.
Yeah.
So how much of an increase is that? Is that a 50% increase?
Nearly a 50% increase. It's about 43% or something like that increase.
Looking at now, but that started with you.
Yeah, it did, but the profitability obviously was affected by previous issues, but we were in profit, and it was remarkable. Even the accountants couldn't believe it, and they went through the figures 2 or 3 times to make sure. And when we sat down and went through it, it was like, crikey, didn't realise. It was just focused on, right, as a sale, get it on the account system, bang, right, how we get the delivery, get the purchase orders out, bang. Just totally at it, blinkered, and then didn't add everything up, and suddenly it was, that's where we're at.
Nice. Feel good, yeah?
It does, yeah. When they told me that, I was cock-a-hoop. Cock-a-hoop. And now it's just trying to either match that or better it and just keep it going. The tenders that are coming in, I wouldn't have considered half the tenders before I joined the program, to be honest. Not because I wasn't confident in my ability. It was the rest of the team ensuring that we were joined up to do the sort of size of tenders we're now doing. With the goals we're setting, with the targets, with the forethought, etc. Now we've just tendered our biggest one, which was £8.5 million.
Nice.
Now we can do that. I can deliver that job without a doubt,
Yeah.
100%. And we've got down to the last two in that, and we're just waiting to hear if we've won it. Now, hopefully, touch wood, we will, and we'll deliver that. It's a 52-week program, so it will go over 2 financial years. But if we get that, then absolutely brilliant. And that means bringing more people into the business, further bolstering what we've already got, and going further forward, and it just sets the way for us.
That's it, right? And this is the thing, the more work that you do on you, it then goes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can then help other people.
Yeah. But the other thing is, it's people come to you because, crikey, you've lost weight. Wow, look at you. Wow, let's have a talk about something. And then they start talking business as well as personal. And the amount of people that I've had because of the weight loss come to me on that basis, it's unbelievable. It's opening doors as well.
That's it, right? Like people maybe they won't openly admit that they're talking to you because you've lost weight, but subconsciously they're like, oh, he looks after himself.
Yeah, they do. I've commented even last week. Somebody got me and said, "Crikey, look at you! Last time I saw you was a year ago." And he said, "Do you remember you were fat?" And then he said, "Would you have a look at this job for me?" Thank you for the compliment.
Look at that! Perfect. Look at that. So let's talk about people around you now, right? Like those people around you that have seen you change and all of that, and around you now, right? How would they describe the difference that they've seen in you?
More driven, more focused. I'm into more detail now, and they know it. So the guys that work for me, they've noticed it because I'm now into every detail, and I know what's going on every single job without them even reporting it. So when we sit down on a weekly basis, I'm already ahead of them on their reports. So they know that I'm into and before it was, oh, Colin will be all right about it. He'll not know that. It'll be fine. Now it's, oh, crikey, I need to be clear on this one. And they come with clarity. And it's
That's
just
the thing, right? The bar's been set.
Yeah. Wife, yeah, she knows what food I'm not going to eat now. She's fine. She just does it, and she's chuffed. Every time we go out, it's, oh, crikey, you're putting them slim jeans on now, and it's all right, fine. It's, yeah, but we do more now. We do more. It's great. So we're already planning the next 2 holidays. And we're coming back to Paphos.
Oh yeah,
we're coming back to Paphos in May.
Oh, nice.
So my daughter has made it quite clear she's never been. We obviously got married there. My wife's been back once. I've obviously been back twice with yourself. And she wants to go, and she wants to take a friend. So I've promised her in May she can go, and we're looking at that now. I'm in the talks with the Annabelle and the Lagoon about all-inclusive deals, because they want to do all-inclusive, which I said is a waste of time in Paphos. We go out and eat, but that's what they want.
Restaurants, yeah.
Yeah, so we will be back in Paphos in May, and I'll catch up with you.
Definitely.
And then we're looking again for October to go with the families that made me obviously lose the weight.
Perfect. That's great. That's so good to hear. It's so good to hear. So good to hear, Colin. And finally, I've got one last question. One last question for you. Now, for men who are watching who feel stuck or out of control, what would you want them to know?
There's the support out there. Programs like this, the programs that you do, there is support there, and you don't need to be in that rut. If you are serious about doing something about it, and you've got to be serious, then there is help for you. And it's the people that are on these programs, on your programs, back in chat, they're there to help you. Then nobody's there to mock you. Everybody just wants to see you do well. And the guys that are on it are down to earth. They are approachable. The amount of people that connected with me on Facebook after my first session online, they're there giving you the support, saying, just do that, keep going, well done. And it's once you get a well done and can't believe you've lost that, it just pushes you that bit more. And it's, if you want to do it, there's people there to help, like yourself. But you've got you've got to come out of your comfort zone and try it. And it can if it can work for me, it can work for anybody. Absolutely anybody.
Nice. Again, but the hardest bit, like you say, is just that recognition and the acceptance of where you're at.
Yeah.
And then taking that step of, okay, like,
that's what it is.
I want to make that change. I'm going to make that change.
Yeah.
Again, because it's already identity. It's like, well, if I do lose the weight and I do make a change, well, who am I going to be? Because I know who I am when I'm overweight and I'm unfit and I'm on medication and all of that. Like, you know what it feels like.
Yeah, I do.
Right. Even though you don't enjoy that feeling, and even though you don't, and you know that it's not right for you, we fall back to that identity and those behaviors and habits because it's just familiar.
Yes, it is. Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
It's a bit like you're saying, like when you're stressed, like you're stressed and you know that eating that big bar of chocolate isn't right for you, but you do it because it's familiar.
Yes. It's habitual.
Exactly.
And anybody can make new habits. One of the guys that was on one of the families that went on holiday, he started it. All I said to him is cut the chocolate out, because he was taking 2 and 3 bars of chocolate to work with him. So cut the chocolate out and you'll see a difference. He lost a stone in about 6 weeks.
That's it. Exactly.
So
right.
it can be done. And the difference to your health is immense. And I've seen that firsthand. I'd never thought I'd ever get off the tablets. I thought I was on them for life. I've been in the hospital, I've been ECGs and things like that. And it's not fun. And when the doctors think you're going to have one, your prime target, it's, you look at yourself as a failure, and you're not. There's a chance of doing something about it. And at my age, I'm 56 years old. I mean, you're a pup. You're young. I'm 56 years old, and I just thought, well, this is it. My knees are shot, my elbows are shot. I was fat. It didn't matter. I couldn't run anymore. I'd got, at that time, my daughter was 13, and I couldn't run after her or do anything. But now I can.
Amazing. Exactly. So amazing. Honestly, Colin, it's great. It's just great hearing your story again, and hearing like the progression of where I am. It's just great. It's really.
I'm chuffed with it. I still look at myself and say, right, I need to tone a little bit. I need to do this, and I'm my own worst critic in work and in my personal life, and I still think I need to do a bit more. But I'm happy. I'm all right.
That's it. You found that peace, that bit of happiness, which is the main thing. So and having that smile as well. So honestly, Colin, it's so good to see.
Thank you.
So good to see. And again, thank you for coming on today.
No problem. Thank you.
So guys, thank you for joining us of this episode of the Sustainability series. And again, most men don't struggle with losing weight. They struggle to keep it off. And especially when life gets busy, it gets stressful, and it also gets unpredictable as well. And today, like what you heard, like is proof. Like Colin, he's just a normal guy, normal family. And it's proof that long-term change is actually possible. And it's like, even for guys like Colin, he thought he was on medication for life. But he's made that change and he's made it possible. So please, if any of this conversation resonated, or if you feel like you've been holding everything together, while your own health is quietly slipping away into the background, then this is your reminder that you can actually take back control and keep it. I'm Adam Alexander, and again, thank you for watching the Sustainability series, where men don't just get back in charge, they stay in charge. And again, I'll see you on the next episode.